Good morning. What's going on?
I guess we're looking at the progress.
It's done.
This is it.
All of this are wild geraniums. They're not weeds.
This stuff ain't weeds.
This isn't higher than 6 inches.
It's worse over here.
That is.
But they're not weeds, Daryl.
Are you videoing this?
Yes.
Yeah, all this is all not up to code. All that's not up to code. It causes issues with my house.
Those are wild violets.
Yep, where's there a code about wild violets? Because I got wild violets too and I cut my fucking grass.
But they're not invasive.
Mm-hmm.
They're not noxious.
Mm-hmm.
They're the Wisconsin state flower.
Yep.
Therefore,
and they grow everywhere. What happens if the whole town lets them grow?
we would have beautiful flowers all over town.
Yep.
I mean,
All that,
I guess
all that
my
over there.
question is why can't you just do things the right way? This pile of wood, all that crap over there.
I'm working on it, man. I have done everything that Ben has asked me to do. No, these trees came down last fall, and I'm working on it. I have done everything that Ben has asked me to do the next day. But Daryl,
Just so you know, you're being recorded.
well, after seeing how wildly inaccurate the minutes were from that Monday meeting, I have to do this for my own good.
You people do that all the time.
I don't care.
You people,
You can record all you want. I don't
well, I'm gonna. And I'm gonna be at the meeting on Monday so we can amend those minutes because they are unbelievably wrong. But the deal is, these aren't weeds.
Well, maybe them are flowers, which is all good and well.
These are trees. Those are flowers.
This junk here is flowers.
These are wild geraniums, and all these are gonna flower, and they're pollinators. Those are wild violets. They're not against the ordinance. They're flowers. If these were hostas or irises and they were this tall,
I'm just going to tell you something. This yard would look so much better if this wasn't here.
but
It
it's
would
not
look
about
absolutely beautiful.
it's not about what you want it to look like. This is about ordinance compliance.
Honestly, guys, I don't care what it looks like. I just don't want the problems at my house. If you want this to grow, do it back over there.
It doesn't grow over there.
Mm-hmm.
It grows in my
causes a
yard.
problem with my house. I don't care if you guys want to live natural. I don't care.
That's just gonna collect snakes that pile there.
I'm working on this. I mean, the wood I know needs to be dealt with.
Okay.
And I've done it in Ben. Every time he's asked me, I've done it the next day.
The only thing is, like, I think this would harbor a lot of snakes and mice.
And I'm handling, man. But the deal is, Ben, you came here on that Monday of the meeting and you said, I am compliant. And this looks exactly the same as it did then, except these are taller. But flowers grow, man. Again, if these were hostas or irises or some other plant that were this tall, would we be having this conversation?
Well, people have them in a flower garden that they keep
I mean,
weeded and
I can put.
looking nice.
There's no
looks
grass
like
in here.
junk.
It's natural. Aesthetically, there's no code that says it has to look pretty. Is there?
Landscaping should be contained and edged though. You should have an edging and contained.
I can adjust, man. But there's no ordinance that says it has to be edged or has to look pretty. This is about ordinance, yes or no? And this is compliant. My grass is short. These are flowers. I maintain between these trees as Ben has asked me to do. Out there are those are violets. That's Wisconsin state flower. They are maintained. I don't let the grass grow in between them. You know, it is maintained. This is just natural. I come in here, I weed eat all in between here. I clean this all. Yes.
It would look better for these fellas
No,
to come
I did it yesterday, Stacy, because I mow my yard. Yesterday's my short week.
Originally, we were hoping to get, like when we explained to weed whack around the trees that you're trying to grow, because obviously if you take the other weeds and the wild geraniums away from them, they're going to grow better.
There's no other weeds there.
And the flowers, your geraniums are trying You're competing with the trees. That your goal is to get the best trees growing as fast as possible.
My goal is to have a yard that I like. And again, this isn't against the ordinance. Just because it's ugly to you doesn't mean that it's against the ordinance. I could say that your yard is ugly because it has nothing in it and no imagination.
What do you have against being a good neighbor and a good citizen?
I am a good neighbor. I mow the lady's yard 2 houses down because she's in the hospital. And I don't want Stacy to go after her for her grass. So I'm down there mowing her yard too. So don't talk to me about being a good neighbor. She had a sign in the window that said, fuck off. So my 11-year-old stepdaughter could see that every day.
Who put the sign up first?
What did my sign say? What did my sign say?
To stop smoking.
It said no smoking.
It sure did.
Your sign said fuck off. So my
And there was a
daughter
middle
could see it.
finger, too.
So don't talk to me about good neighbors, all right? Don't talk to me about
Those
being a
trees
good
are
neighbor
gone,
is.
Stacy.
Because again, I'm mowing the neighbor's yard because she's in the hospital. Is that being a good neighbor or no? But again, there's no ordinance for being a good neighbor.
Compared to this.
Who cares what her looks like compared to mine? This is about the ordinance. This is compliant. It may not be visually appealing to you, but Ben checked off on this
Okay, a very nice
1 month
question.
ago.
What is compliant with all these weeds around your so-called trees?
They are not weeds, Stacy.
To harbor rodents and snakes.
So you're saying this 10 square feet is your whole
And this,
problem.
And this.
But
and
again,
that over there,
they're not
and
weeds. They are not weeds.
Yes.
They're
flowers.
not on the noxious weed list. They're
When I
not
was here the
invasive.
first time, they weren't known to be geraniums. Now you can see they're taller. They look like geraniums, but that's why we were hoping to get, like you wanted to let these trees grow up and succeed. And pick
I want
the best
all of
trees.
this to grow.
Let them talk.
But we were trying to tell you to just weed whack around every one of these. And
All
then,
the trees, yeah.
then
We
they
didn't
will-
realize these were all wild.
This is the
geraniums
biggest
in
issue:
here.
is this patch and that patch. You
But-
know, your wildflower patch over there, I don't think we had an issue with. We were fine with that because it's out of the way of hers, and it does actually look like a wildflower patch. I mean, I'm sure the bees love it over there. But this,
And they're going to love it over here too. I mean, I can edge this. I can put a little, but
mosquitoes and bugs flying
You know, if it
around
gets
there.
to the point where you attract so many bees that it affects your neighbors, then there's going to be a problem.
That's the issue.
there's no nest, there's no hive. These are for pollinating bugs, so they can pollinate all our flowers and keep us all alive. That's what this is about. And none of these are on the list that says it's out of ordinance. Again, if these were all hostas or tulips or some other tall flower, would we be having this conversation?
No, but not if they were taken care of. But if you had
They are
hostas
taken
and
care of.
tulips and all this junk, it wouldn't look any better than what this does.
It's junk to you guys, but it's not junk to me.
Well, the wood
That's-
piles have got to go. That's a snake haven. That's a snake haven.
I'm working on it, and I've
Well,
done
you're
it.
going to
as-
have to work a little faster.
you know,
So that would be one big thing right there.
Well, that one.
Obviously, because this is right on the corner of the property line. So if they're getting snakes and rodents, I'm assuming a lot of that's probably coming from that pile.
I've cut enough wood in my days and piled them around, and the snakes will be in that in no time.
Yeah, it should.
there's snakes all over the place. We live in a wetland. We live next to an abandoned golf
Quit
course.
making excuses.
I'm not making
I'm sick of this
excuses.
crap with
Well,
you.
what crap? The fact that I don't want you guys to stomp all over me because this is compliant?
This isn't
It's compliant.
This is not compliant.
I've been through the ordinance.
This is helter-skelter is what this is.
Just because it doesn't look good to you doesn't mean it's out of ordinance. The ordinance doesn't say that it has to be visually pleasing to everyone who sees it. It doesn't. These are wild geraniums. They are flowers. They're not weeds. Just because they're not a flower that you like or you think is pretty does not make it
I like
out of
flowers,
compliance.
Don't get me wrong. You can go by my house. You look at the flower gardens I got.
But
There's
again,
not a weed in them. There's not nothing.
That-
my neighbors say I got one
that's
of the
your
best looking
standard.
yards in O'Connell. Not this crap.
that's crap to you, Daryl.
It is crap.
It is not. It's an opinion. And we're not here to talk about opinions. We're here to talk about the ordinance.
Evidently we are because that's your opinion.
Well, it's because you keep laying yours on me. It's compliant. Ben checked off on this. You're a guy. And the only thing that has changed,
I know this was before it grew up to this level, obviously.
But Ben, how'd you know that the plants, they grow, man?
Well, I
That's what they were
understand
going to
that.
do.
I mean, if you trim them down, they will grow back, correct?
So,
I got this stuff in
again,
my
To the
lawn,
6
too.
inch
And I cut it with the
tolerance.
lawnmower, and the next week there's flowers there again.
that's great. You know, so you want me to come down so I can let them grow? Or I can just let them grow? I don't understand.
You know, I see you're keeping like a 3-foot buffer on the fence.
And I'm
line.
doing that as a favor to you, Ben, because
I
there's nothing in the
appreciate that,
ordinance that
but
says
it's
I
not
could
for me,
grow
it's for your
flowers
neighbors, so-
right to here. I can. There's no ordinance that says I need to give you a 3-foot buffer.
I know,
I
but
am
what-
doing
what
that to be a
happens-
good neighbor.
You know, I understand that, but once it starts affecting your neighbors, as
But
far
there's
as
no
rodents,
ordinance that
mites,
says
and-
there's nothing that says I have to keep
Well,
it off my
there is against
fence.
The wood piles for sure, right?
And I'll handle that.
And you have to maintain your fence line, which that looks pretty good.
My fence line is maintained. These flowers are compliant. There's no other way around it.
Is that's your bush down there? That big one?
That is a trumpet ivy.
Yeah, I have the same thing in my yard, and it's certainly not, and it's right on the lot line, and it doesn't hang over into the neighbors. I got
Would you
mine
like
up
me to
on a
take it down,
trellis, and
Stacy?
looks good.
You want me to take it down on your
I
half?
want you to mow your grass. That's what I want.
Is this grass mowed?
No.
No, this is not grass. The grass is mowed. These are flowers. Leave me alone. I don't have the energy or time to do this. This is what my yard looks like. It is compliant by words of the ordinance. Is that yes or no?
You're with the ordinance. I'm just saying, like, your trees, the main goal that I heard was that you want these trees to succeed.
I want all this to succeed.
You're delaying the progress of the trees by keeping
But
the
that's
competition here.
the ordinance doesn't say that I need to give these trees a chance. You know,
Well, why is it that you got them kind of trimmed up and weeded over there?
because there's no geraniums growing between them.
Oh, boy.
And it's maintained. I'm in there with a weed eater in between there because Ben asked me to make sure that I did that. Everything that Ben has asked me to do, I have done.
You have to put it. They have to be 1.5 inches minimum diameter.
No, they
That's
don't.
if you plant.
And
if you
that,
plant those.
Lori tried quoting that I need a landscape plan, and that applies to industrial and highway. She's trying to apply it in ordinance to me that does not apply to residential. I didn't plant these, they grew. I mean, you guys are coming at me with every angle that you could possibly find it and can't accept the fact that it's compliant,
Well,
except for the
this
wood.
way, Ben. It's starting to rain. I'm not going to stand out here and argue with this guy. Give him till Wednesday, this coming Wednesday.
You can't give me 5
to
days.
clean this up. At least these wood piles.
Oh, so define
the-
cleanup.
or the
Do I have
city's
to
gonna clean
split-
them up for
Do I
you.
have to
Stacked.
split them?
They got to be stacked in a formal.
Get it done.
That's part of their ordinance.
So it can be,
With you.
it can still be there, but just has to be stacked.
Yeah.
And that can be there, but just has to be
No,
stacked.
that can't.
That-
That's not even
that's-
cut up.
It's got to be cut up and stacked.
So I can cut it up and stack it right there.
Actually.
Not right there.
It can't be right on the.
Where
corner.
can I
It's
stack
gotta
it?
be at least 3 feet up. I'll send you the
Stack it
cord.
in the middle over here. Or
I can
somewhere.
stack it anywhere I can in my yard. It's my yard, it's my wood. There's
So
no
you're gonna
ordinance that
still
says,
bring rodents and stuff right next to the fence so they can.
That's
come
what
to
we're
your
trying to
neighbor.
get away from. Yeah.
but there's no ordinance that says I need to have my wood in any particular part of my yard.
No, there's no purpose of having it just be a nuisance, though.
But,
Like,
But
that's
there's-
what we're saying. You're just trying to be a nuisance.
I'm not
that way,
trying. I'm a busy guy, and this is a lot of work.
Right? Well,
You know,
that's what we're after. That's the nuisance. The biggest nuisance is just stack it where it should be. And
where is
right
where it should be
out
though.
in the middle of your yard, not on the fence edge where it's collecting all the snakes and.
But there's nothing in the ordinance that says I can't stack wood against the fence. I've been through the ordinance. I've been through the wood part of it.
I'll do a little research on that later. As far as working stuff.
So where do we stand right now? Is this yard compliant as far as these plants go?
It's a gray area.
Yes or no? Because we can't operate in a gray area. Because I need to know that my neighbor is going to stop hassling me, and that I have to address this wood, and then we're done.
Well, I know it was. I said it was compliant previously, but they did grow up. and I
But they're
didn't realize it was
plants.
that.
If these were any other kind of plant, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But they're wildflowers. They're not noxious. They're
I
not
know they're
invasive.
Not noxious, they don't produce hay fever or anything like that. I've read all that.
So leave me alone. and let me enjoy my yard.
He's getting the complaints and he has to answer.
Right.
But he can also say, Stacy, that yard is compliant. Leave me alone. Stop complaining. You can do that.
Right.
You don't have to come over here and nitpick me.
I say at this point, let's just get the wood stacked up.
Yeah,
where it
we'll
needs
go
to
from
fit, and then
And I'm not falling it this by Wednesday bullshit that Daryl just pulled out of his ass.
I mean,
You can't give a guy 5 fucking days to take on a project like this. I work full time. I work part-time jobs.
Yeah.
I have
No, I
3
get it.
kids. So I'm not-
what I can do is give you a citation letter, and you got whatever. I think it's
you give me
10 days.
30 days.
I think it's 10 days.
I would like 30. I have a
that's just pushing it
30.
back too much.
Yeah.
10 days should give you enough to cut that. That's not a real big pile. I mean, that's something that could be done.
I'm gonna cut it and I'm gonna stack it right up against that fence. Cause I don't want it in the middle of my fucking yard. Why would I want a wood pile of wood in my yard?
What are you doing with the wood pile? I mean,
I'm gonna burn it.
Okay.
It's
What
firewood.
if you move it closer to your fire pit where most people stack it?
Cause I don't want to carry it all the way across the fucking yard.
I don't know. It's just like there's an argument
I mean-
for everything. You don't have an answer that wants to comply with what we're asking.
Because this
There's
is
always-
compliant. I will cut it and I will stack it. And I will I don't quite understand the difference between it stacked and sitting like that.
Because
That's a pile that's harbor snakes. and
Yeah,
rodents.
and it will still harbor snakes in a neat
If
stack.
it's stacked in one roll straight up, it's a lot less.
I will stack that. I will
But-
cut that. But I will keep it in my yard wherever I want to keep it in my yard. I've been through the ordinance. I can stack firewood right up to my fence. It's and it's not.
I don't know. I guess I don't know what. I haven't gone through the ordinances.
I have. And if you're gonna come out here and judge me on my ordinance,
not judging
you
you.
should be.
I'm just
You should be
saying-
through the ordinance.
that
We're
everybody
trying to
knows
find a
that
middle
should-
ground for
that
everybody,
should be
just to-
cleaned up.
I mean, I'll clean it up. I will.
I mean, you
I've
did
done
clean
everything.
up everything I've done and asked for you.
And I haven't
appreciate
given you
that.
shit
The
back.
only thing is, like
But-
I say, we'll have to stack the wood.
But
We'll
it's
go
like
from there.
first this all started off with grass, and then like, oh, the grass is good. Well, now let's look at the wood. You know, she just keeps digging and digging for something because she just is harassing me. This all started out with grass. I handled the grass. Whoop! Now it's not the grass anymore. Now it's the fucking wood. And after I do the wood, what's gonna be the next thing that she's gonna come after? You know,
I mean,
at
well-
some point you have to tell her that this is fine and to leave me alone and to leave you alone. Right? You know, what do we do? Pave the yard?
I'm
Because,
trying to help both parties.
well, I know, but, and I appreciate the spot that you're in, Ben. It sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. But I've done everything I can. And just because her and I have a different standard on what a beautiful yard is, doesn't make it against the ordinance. And that's
Like, I feel like there'd be a lot less stress if we just could both be okay with what the decision is, and it doesn't
Right,
sound like
'cause
there's ever
it's
going
like-
to be a common ground between the
No,
two.
because it's going to be one thing and then the next thing and the next thing.
Well,
So
like
if
I
I
s-
send you the citation letter, you'll have 10 days to finish everything.
and everything being cutting and
Wood
stacking
stacking.
and stacking.
And stacking all the wood. As far as, the wild geraniums, so your yard was compliant the last time they came, right? But
Yeah.
this was a lot lower to the ground. It was under the
But-
6-inch.
They're not weeds.
And if you
They
do
don't
trim
go
them-
under the 6-inch rule.
You gotta-
They
you gotta
are
trim it.
flowers.
No, I mean, I understand that.
Then why are we having this conversation?
Well,
If
the
these-
thing is, it's harboring all the mice and snakes.
again, so if this is all just hostas, thick as a brick,
and if
just
there's
between
issues, I
there,
have to address that as well.
because no matter what happens back here, she's not going to let it go.
Right.
So, I this has been ongoing, and I've done everything that you asked me to do, and I've done it in a timely fashion.
No, it's been 2 years.
There was
We've been
nothing
dealing
last
with
year.
you.
No, you didn't deal with me last year, not at once.
The
So-
year before we did. And
Well,
obviously
tough
you
shit.
haven't done a hell of a
And
lot.
that last year, I was also did exactly what you wanted me to do.
Well,
You
let's
know-
start with the wood piles, and we'll go from there.
Is this compliant? Is the grass
I'm not gonna
portion?
say answer that.
Why not? Why can't
We're
you
not
answer this?
answering that
You're the
because
public
it
works
doesn't-
guy.
it doesn't
Besides the wood, is this compliant?
This does not look good. This doesn't look like
It's not
anything.
about looking good, Daryl.
Snakes will
nothing.
live in there just as well as in that pile of wood.
So
They can live under her
Telling
deck. They can live in her crazy little flower thing in the
you're
corner.
attracting them. That's the problem.
By growing plants, all plants
That's
that
what
you
they
grow
look
will
for.
attract them.
That's their habitat.
And besides-
that's what they need to survive. They need crap like this.
Yeah. But again, this isn't out of the... When does it end? Do you want me to just
When
pave
does it
my
end? When
yard?
you clean it up and make it
It's
look like
clean,
something.
Daryl. It doesn't need to look pristine. I'm not trying to win contests here. I'm trying to be a steward of the planet and grow.
Just look at all the bugs hovering above. Those are all mosquitoes. Like all these are all mosquitoes sitting here. There's nothing here. That's what I'm looking at right now.
Right.
I'm seeing over 100 mosquitoes just floating above these plants right now. No bees.
We live in Wisconsin. What?
But you're doing it
Mosquitoes
for-
are
you're doing
mosquitoes.
it for the bees, right? And
I'm doing it for everything. I can't help it that if I grow flowers, that mosquitoes want to be there also.
Well, if it affects your neighbors, it has to. Then
that's
you
the
got to do
problem.
something.
That's the
It's,
hard problem.
it's affecting the neighbor. You're going to get a letter. You're going to send them a letter.
Right. Yep.
Okay. You're going to have 10 days. 10 days. If this isn't taken care of, you're going to be behind.
And what is this?
Going
Because
to
right
be
now
fine.
this is just
That's
the wood.
end of the story.
It's just the wood that we're talking about.
I would
this cleaned
trim
up,
this to 6 inches or under.
You want me to kill all my plants? Because that's what you
Will
asked
it-
me
will
to
it
do.
kill them though? Will it kill them?
Yeah,
I don't
because
think it'll
no,
kill
all
'em.
the flowers will be gone. And the whole point of these is for flowers, for bees and monarchs and butterflies, and all that to happen. And if I cut them down, that makes all that null and void. They're
like a-
flowers, man.
They're just like a clover plant. Too. You can cut them back. You gotta cut them back for them to be healthier anyways. They're already turning yellow, so that means they should be cut back anyways.
This is the first year that these are growing, and I'm learning as I go. But I'm not going to be pushed around and bullied because visually it's not.
Bullying.
It is. You guys have been. She's been out my ass 6 times this year, and if it's not one thing, it's another. It's not one thing, it's
Okay,
another.
let me ask you this. If she's been on your ass for 6 times, how come you haven't done anything with any of this crap to make things better for your neighbors?
I'm
You
doing it
haven't.
as
You
I
haven't
have time.
done anything.
I have. The
What's
brush
been
is gone.
done?
All the logs that were all here are gone, and all that
You-
grass
and
that
you
was growing
quit.
on them is
And
gone.
you quit until somebody else complains again.
No, when I have time to take on a project like this, Daryl, I have 3 kids, I work 2 jobs, I'm mowing my neighbor's fucking lawn, so she doesn't get, the city on her shit because she's in the hospital. So you're paying me to be some kind of monster here, and I just want to have some wildflowers in my yard. If I put a little border around here, does that make it?
When you moved here, did you ever think about maybe getting a place out in the country?
No, and don't suggest that I move out of the city.
I'm not suggesting. I'm
You-
asking
you-
if it ever crossed
You
your
said
mind.
that very thing in the meeting.
Yeah.
last month.
And if you're going to have stuff like this, if you're
There
living
are
out in the country,
houses
nobody's gonna say,
all over
"Why
town
28
that have
I think
flower
with
gardens.
landscape, it'd be a lot different. Honestly, I think if you had edging or concrete.
But what is the difference between edging and not? Because you're looking at a visual.
It's like you're always. It's like no matter what we say, you're gonna fight it, and it's.
I'm not fighting it. I'm inside the ordinance, and that's what this is all about. The ordinance doesn't state that I need edging around my flowers.
So if we were to say if this was a yard we were coming to cut because it wasn't following the grass ordinance, we would consider this grass, and then we'd mistakenly cut it up, and then we'd get him arguing with us about that too. Then that's the problem.
But all my grass is cut, man.
No, I'm not saying. I'm saying if we ever had to come cut it like we do to a lot of lots that are over 8 inches, then we would cut this too. I mean, this
Would you cut the trees down?
most likely.
I mean, what
They
what
were
would be the?
smaller. I mean, obviously this is a little bit high, but
Yeah, it'd be big ones. We'd whack around every one of them otherwise.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying. I would weed whack all this stuff back around the trees. If that's the main goal that I was hearing is you wanted the trees to take off, then you would knock back all the weeds and the
No,
flowers.
my goal is to have a natural backyard.
And now and that's changed from what I've heard. I thought it was just for the trees to take off because you wanted shade trees or privacy trees. I don't know what it was.
I've grown all this. When I bought this lot, there's nothing on it. There's nothing on it. I bought this lot, I put up this fence, and I let all these trees grow. Everything that's here is because of me.
That's the problem. I can firmly see that 3 of us can stand here and try to talk to him. He's not up to reason.
I am up to reason.
No,
The reason I'm digging in on this is
I
because
think we'll leave it
the
at that.
ordinance, these
We're
are
just
wildflowers.
we're
They're
just
not
gonna
noxious.
give
They're
them
not
a-
invasive. They're not
And
grass.
we'll check it in 10 days or whatever. If it isn't done, he gets fined.
I'll do the wood,
That's gonna be-
100%. But these are flowers, man.
I know this is a complete gray area for sure.
But
But
it's
when
yes or no.
When it's noxious to your neighboring properties, that's where the gray area is. Right? So obviously we'll take care of the wood piles. You know, trimming this I think would benefit all the trees by far. And I don't think it's going to kill your wildflowers at all, especially the natural wildflowers.
So what am I doing? I'm doing the wood.
Start with the wood. But
But-
I would appreciate if you could read it whack.
I mean, I know you would, Ben, but it comes back down to what's in the ordinance.
This is going to be. I understand. But
And if you understand, tell her that it's
yeah.
tell her she can't complain every time she sees something back here. These are within the guidelines of the ordinance. The wood is not, and I will address that.
Okay. We'll touch base on Monday.
You know, I go around each patch that's out here, painstakingly around it with the weed eater, with the lawnmower, and all that, so the grass is good.
All right,
So-
we'll touch base on Monday.
I'll be at the meeting.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, Ben.